Hey everyone, Reaper here again with another video. This time I decided to put together, it's a rather quick video. Just whipped up a couple of things. My top upgrades of 2022. Now I know there's a lot, especially on Instagram, top books for 2023. I did a video like that. Top purchases of 2022. I think I did one like that as well. Now I want to just focus on upgrades. For anybody that's been watching my videos or followed me on Instagram, you know that my journey as of late, really as of the last maybe year and a half, involved upgrading books. I mentioned this before that seems that the comic book market is softened, and I think it's going to continue to soften, to be quite honest. Now I don't have a crystal ball in front of me on how long that's going to be. But as a collector, I'm ecstatic. I mean, the books that I was putting off getting are now back on the table, and that included upgrades. And I've managed to get some of those upgrades last year, and this year, as of January 2023, I'm very excited about some of the upgrades that I have planned. For those of you that watched my video, the top 10 books I want for 2023, most of them are upgrades that I'm looking forward to getting, but there's so many others on that list that I have that I want to upgrade that I just didn't put on the list, but I'm really looking forward to it. So that's why I decided to dedicate an entire video just showing some of my favorite upgrades. Now, in this video, I'm not showing off every single upgrade I got over 2022 because I would be here, for the next hour showing off books. But I just decided to grab some of my favorites. And there were some that I liked, but I'm not including in this video just for this, the sake of time and things of that nature. So I grouped this video into, I have two sections. I have my pre-codes, which are all EC, of course, and I have my superheroes. So let's start with the pre-codes, because I know how much everyone loves seeing those. It's amazing. I think whenever, if I have like a EC comic as my thumbnail on one of my videos, I think that's pretty much like repellent for people because they just simply don't like watching those videos. Because I still think that a lot of people feel that, a lot in the hobby are looking for books that they can flip and that they should be buying, and they're just not interested in buying ECs or even pre-codes for that matter. I could be wrong, but who knows? But we're going to start with the ECs. Shock Suspense Stories #1. Not an easy book to find, but I was lucky enough earlier in 2022, the first quarter of 2022, to upgrade my, I forget what, I had like a 3 or a 3.5. I don't remember. Sometimes out of sight, out of mind. But I was managed to upgrade to a nice mid-grade copy of this. This is probably going to be one of the books that I send off to CGC. I'm still waiting, and I'm probably going to be waiting for a long time for my CGC submissions to come back. But once they come back, I'm probably going to start coming up with a few more to send out, and probably Shock 1, that I just showed you, will be one of those books that goes out. Here's another one of my favorites that I upgrade. This is not, a lot of these are not that easy to find. But here we have a nice mid-grade copy, like straight down the line mid-grade, not high mid-grade or anything like that. A mid-grade copy of Haunt of Fear #5. I had a really low-grade copy, which I was happy with. There was nothing wrong with having it because it's just such a difficult book to find, or at least it was for me. I may not have all the connections that other people have. But when I finally found this copy, moved on it and brought it home. Here's one that I'm really proud of. I had a 3.0. I remember that. I had a 3.0 CGC copy of this, and I upgraded to this nice 6.0 of Haunt of Fear what is this, #7? Yeah. Great book. Great cover, too. Great cover. Love it. Still have 2 more Haunt of Fears. Now, I upgraded quite a few Haunt of Fears. That and Vault of Horror were the 2 EC titles, the 2 out of the 4 that I collect, right? Half of them, that really needed a lot of upgrades. And I was able to get a lot of upgrades in 2022 for both those titles. But here's one that I think I'm very proud of. Nice mid-grade copy. Again, straight down the line mid-grade, not high mid-grade like 6.0s or 6.5s, or at least I don't think this is a 6.0. Nah, it's probably more like a 5 or a 5.5. But Haunt of Fear number 14. This is the origin of the Old Witch. Again, not necessarily the easiest book to find. And here's one that the last Haunt of Fear. Like I said, I upgraded many Haunt of Fears, but I didn't decide to include them all on this list. I just picked out a few that I really, really liked, that stood out for me. And this one is the one that really stands out for me. Haunt of Fear number 24. This is a high mid-grade book. Probably like a 6.5 or a 7.0. Really nice. Considering the other copy I had was probably like a 2.5 or a 3. But this is the colors on this. It's just they really pop. It's such a beautiful copy, and I was just so happy to upgrade it. Again, maybe this is another one I should send to CGC. I don't know. We'll see. Now we have a few Vault of Horrors. Now, the one Vault of Horror that I would like to put on this list, which is number 19. Again, I can't include it on this list because it's still at CGC. So we'll see how much of an upgrade it is from my 5.0. But beside that, I have a few here that I'm really, really proud of. And starting off with number 22. This is a really nice mid-grade copy of A Haunt of Fear number 22. I loved it. I've always loved this cover. Really nice. The Frankenstein Monster. One of my favorite books. This one I'm really nice. Really nice. This is like a 6, maybe even a 6.5 copy of Vault of Horror number 23. One of my favorite books. One of my favorite books because of all the stories, and one that I remember, a cover I remember for going back over 30 years when these were in the Gladstone reprints. I believe this was Vault of Horror number 4 in Gladstone reprints. I don't remember. But that's when I was first introduced to this before I got the Cochrane sets. But it was nice to finally upgrade my 3540 copy to a nice 6065. Beautiful copy. And the last Vault of Horror for this video is this one. I had a really crappy copy of number 31, and I was able to upgrade this one. I believe I upgraded this going into second quarter of 2022. Brutal cover. And I noticed like this is supposed to be blood, but they painted the blood and the old witch's cloak brown on this cover instead of it being red. I guess they were trying to avoid causing too much controversy for such a brutal cover of someone's head smashed. But they wound up causing controversy in the future issues that came after 31, as you may or may not know. But that's enough about that. Now, Tales from the Crypt. I got 2 Tales from the Crypts, then we're done with the pre-codes. Then we're done with the ECs. 2 that I upgraded. I haven't really upgraded too many Tales from the Crypts because most of them are at satisfactory levels. There are still a few that I want to upgrade, still that I'm keeping an eye out to upgrade. But last year I was able to upgrade these 2, starting off with one of my favorite upgrades of 2022 by bar none, number 24. Nice 5.0 5.5 copy of this. Not an easy book to get, and it's one of the more famous Tales from the Crypt covers, you know, the zombie, the quicksand, all that stuff. Number 24. Beautiful. I had like a 2.5, I think. Yeah, and it was nice to go from a 2.5 to a 5.5 when I saw a 5.550 copy. When I saw this for sale, I originally was like, oh wow, you know, I'd like to get that. But I wound up getting the Vault of Horror 23, which I just showed. That was a no-brainer for me. But then I was going back and I was like, geez, maybe I should get that 24 because it's so easy. And I've said this before, and you'll hear me say this over and over again, not just in this video, but in other videos, to just try to get it to sink into everybody, if it hasn't already, that it's such a great time to upgrade. And just, I look at upgrading, for those that are interested, as a ladder to climb, whether you're going up 1 step or 2 step or 3 steps, whatever it is, it's a step in the right direction, a better direction. So just in case you want to go a little higher, for instance, let's say I get this graded and it does come back a 5.5. Wonderful. I'm happy with that. But let's say a 7.0 were to pop up. And I'm like looking at it, and I'm looking at the price, and I'm debating it. I would be in a far better position to take those next 3 steps up toward that 7.0 from the 5.5 than I would have with the 2.5. So you should look at upgrading. My point is, you should look at upgrading for those that are interested, that those are trying to do it, as, oh, well, I only upgraded a point or a point and a half or half a point. It's not only that. You should look at it as a step. You're a step in a right direction, and it's going to be much easier for you to get that higher grade later on than if you didn't upgrade to whatever it was that you had, half a point, full point, whatever. Like I said with that example, 5.5, it's much easier to get to a 7.0 from a 5.5 than it is for a 2.5, financially speaking, right? That's the way to look at it. Or you could just be happy with your 5.5. But upgrading is something that's really worthwhile. So enough about that. Let's get to the last EC book, last pre-code, last horror book. We have Tales from the Crypt number 26. I had a CGC 4.0, and this is one of the rare cases, if you watch my upgrading video. Most of the time when I upgrade to a CGC copy. Very rarely do I upgrade from a CGC copy to a raw book. Well, that's exactly what happened here. I've had about 4 copies of this over the years, just trying to find the right copy, including a coverless one. So that might be 5. Regardless, this is probably the one book out of all the EC horrors that I've had many copies of over the last 5-6 years. And I'm very happy with this copy. I think it's probably like a 5.5, most likely. I had a 4.0 CGC, and I decided, hey, let's do it. And I did. So those are just the ECs that I upgraded that I wanted to put into this video. Like I said earlier, there are many other ECs and other books, to be fair, that I upgraded in 2022 that are not seeing the light of day here in this video. Okay, here's one. We'll start off with DC. Star Spangled Comics, I think it's number 70, right? Sometimes I even have to look. Okay, this is probably like a nice 4.0, 4.5 copy. I had like maybe a 3.0, 3.5. So it's, again, not much of an upgrade. A step or two up on that ladder. But this is a book that, the reason why are you showing this one? Because this is a book that's not, I don't usually see it. I don't usually see it wherever it is I go, the places I go to buy books. And I don't see it on anybody's Instagram or anything like that. Now, granted, I don't watch too much YouTube at all. So maybe there could be people showing this book off in the community that I just don't know about. But I have a funny feeling not too many. This is the first appearance of the original Clock King. And it's a book that you can get fairly cheap for an old, this is July 47, an old DC Golden Age book. I know Star Spangled Comics are typically not it's not the series that gets a lot of clicks for people as Detective Comics or Action Comics or any of those Wonder Woman books do from DC. But it's cool to have. It's cool to have. And it took a while just to find an upgrade to this book. And that's why it's on this list in this video. Here's one. Again, nothing too big, but a big upgrade for me. Not necessarily a big upgrade, but a nice upgrade. Amazing Spider-Man number 98. I think this is a nice 7.5 copy. Yeah, nice 7.5 copy. I think I had like a 5.0. And it was just, again, one of those books I always wanted to upgrade. I upgraded my original copy I had for, almost 30 years. And, it was okay. And it was one of those books I said I'd like to get a better copy, but just never got around to it. Saw that one, bought that, and got rid of the other one. So it works. Couple more. No, I have more than a couple more. Sorry. I'm looking at this. I have a few X-Men books here now. This one I'm really proud of. Man, and this is another book in the X-Men library that I've had multiple copies, probably like 4 copies of over the last, 8 years. Here's X-Men number 15. Really stunning copy. This could be very well a 6.5 copy, maybe even a 7.0. I've had many copies, like going from like a 2.0 all the way to a 5.0. But this is the copy that I decided to keep, and it's very crisp. The colors are very rich on this with the yellow and the blue. Really nice looking. And even the white background's pretty clean. So this is the first appearance of the Master Mold. part of the Sentinels trilogy from 14 to 16. Here's another X-Men that I upgraded. I forget what I had, but I upgraded to a nice 7.0 copy of X-Men number 56. I've had a couple copies of this over the years too. Maybe more than a couple. I think this is my third copy. I think the original copy I had, the centerfold was detached at one staple. Sold that off, and then I got that other copy, which was probably like a 5.0, 5.5, and then we have this one. Nice one. And here's another one. This is my second copy. The other copy I had, I think, was not bad. It was probably like a 5.5 or a 6.0. But I just always wanted a better copy. So I think this is probably like a 7.0, 7.5. So it's not that much of a copy. X-Men number 61. It's really nice. The front and back cover, which is, as you can see, it's mostly white. Well, sort of. It's got all the artwork over here and greens and all that stuff. But it's always hard to get really clean white background covers, like X-Men number 1, X-Men number 3, and several others. And I found that my original 61, the white background, which you can see right here, wasn't as clean, and in addition to some other things. Even though it was still a nice mid-grade book, wasn't a piece of junk by any stretch, I just wanted something a little bit better, and I was finally able to upgrade it. Now here's some of these books here. There's 3 more. You've seen these before, and actually the next 2 still have yet to be on a comic book haul, but I can't ignore the fact that these were some pretty amazing upgrades for me. So it's sort of like a repetition here if you've watched like my last 2 videos. So sorry about that, but it's hard not to put this in a top upgrades video. We have Fantastic Four number 48. I had a 5.5 copy again, which is not a piece of junk, right? It's not bad. It's nice mid-grade, down the line mid-grade copy. This is like a mid-grade copy. But I always wanted to get a little something better. I felt I could get a little something better. Now, when the prices allowed me to talk a little bit, when the prices were outrageous in 2021, I think that was the peak. Mid-2021, maybe the beginning of 2022, when the prices of several key books like this and others were just astronomically high. I was saying to myself, well, I could probably upgrade it, but it's probably going to take me a little longer. And that's why I said in the beginning of the video, when the prices began to drop, it became even more comfortable for me to upgrade and then sell off my lower grade copy. And again, with upgrading, I try to be realistic. I said that in a previous video. I didn't try to go from a 5.5 to a 9.2 or anything like that. Financially, it's not realistic for me to do that because I'm just not going to spend that kind of money. I can't justify doing that for many reasons. But again, 2 steps up from 5.5, it goes to 6, 6.5, realistic. Maybe one day I might want to get a 7.5, but I'm in a far better position to get a 7.5 with this 6.5 than I was with that 5.5. And again, that's like the message I was really trying to get across earlier in the video when I was talking about upgrades. So FF48, first appearance of Silver Surfer, 5.5 to 6.5. Now this one's probably a really big upgrade. What I mean by that is it jumped quite a few steps on the ladder. I originally had a 6.5. The 6.5 was my second copy. My first copy was a 3.0, which I had back in 1994. I sold that to get my 6.5 years ago. And then I sold my 6.5 to fund this bad boy. Giant Size X-Men, number 1, first appearance of so many new X-Men, including Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler, second full appearance of Wolverine. Big book, right? 8.5. Now I know some people argue, well, wasn't that Foom 10 the real first appearance? It's a preview. Maybe it is considered a first appearance. Who knows? Like, people are still arguing Wolverine's first appearance. Now I get the whole thing with 180, but they're saying like those ads and Daredevil and all that stuff and Foom. Didn't concept art of Wolverine show up in Foom? I think those ads though, and the Daredevil and Thor that people say, that was sort of like a first appearance of Wolverine. It's not. Those books came out, I think, after the 181. So I don't think or the 180. so it's not necessarily considered his true first appearance. But, you know, we could argue back and forth all the time. A lot of people could argue about that. But as ETA Nick has often said, if you're in heavy debate on what Wolverine's first appearance is, buy all the books. No more debate. But this is his second full appearance. Again, a pretty big upgrade. You know, when I wanted to get, originally I thought I was going to go from a 6.5 to a 7.5. I had no dreams of getting an 8.5 giant size X-Men, but my local comic book shop had one, and we worked something out where I was able to get it with ease. And I did. But one of the stipulations when it came to upgrade, it wasn't just the number that I was looking at. Now, I know I've been talking a lot about the number. Like, well, we're going from 5.5 to 6.5. We're going from 4 to 5.5. We're going from here to there. You only hear the number. And I know that's obviously it's very important, right? When you're trying to upgrade, that makes the most sense. But there are other factors that go into upgrading for me. Sometimes I ignore a couple of these, but a lot of times I don't. But one of the main factors for me for the giant size upgrade was not just the number. Because like I said, I originally was going to get a 7.5. That's what I wanted, and I would have been happy with that. I wanted something that didn't have just off-white pages. Now this has off-white to white pages, which is fine by me, but my 6.5 had just off-white pages, and I said to myself, if I'm going to go from a 6.5 to 7.5, or what it turned out to be an 8.5, I don't want it to be just off-white. I want it to be maybe off-white to white, or maybe just white. An opportunity came up to get this one. This is just fine. So there are other things that I look at when it comes to upgrades besides the number, besides the case, the CGC case, all that sort of stuff. It generally, for the most part, naturally when you upgrade, they do look better because it is an upgrade. But there are other little things like page quality and stuff that I might consider. Or even if they're well centered. Like I said, some of these I will ignore for certain upgrades. But sometimes I don't, depending on what it is I'm upgrading or I intend to upgrade. And the last one, you've seen this a million times on this channel so far, we have the Incredible Hulk 181, the first full appearance of Wolverine as 7.5. I had a 6.0. That was my second copy. You've heard this story before. For those that are just watching this video or my channel for the first time, I'll tell you again. I originally, back in 94, a month before I bought my original giant size X-Men #1, which was a 3.0, I had I would say a 5.0, maybe a 4.5 copy of Incredible Hulk 181 missing the Marvel value stamp. Then when I came back to the hobby, that was the first book I upgraded, I believe. I believe that was the first book I upgraded, but it was also the very first, maybe it was, I think it was. I know I upgraded a couple books around that time, but I think that one was the first one. Anyway, I upgraded it, and that was also the very first CGC slabbed book I got. So I went from that 4.5, 5.0, I sold it, and I bought the 6.0, and I was happy with it. Then I bought, and this is a story that I usually don't tell. I think I told it once, a couple of videos ago. But then around the same time, I bought a 7.0 Incredible Hulk 181. And I got it cheap. But somehow or another, in my, naivete, I thought that the 6.0, I was hearing about pressing and all that stuff when I came back. And I was like, well, this 6.0 looks really good. I think it looks a little bit better than the 7.0. The reason why I said that is because the 7.0 in the back, the pages were a little uneven. It's like the center. I'm sure you've seen these type of books where the centerfold looks like it's sticking out way more than the rest of the pages. And I looked at that. I'm like, oh man, this is like something's wrong with this. Not thinking that perhaps maybe that could have used the press and that could have solved that problem. But I was all new to this whole concept of pressing and all that stuff, so I didn't give much thought to that at all. My thought was going to the 6.0 that I had, thinking that, well, I think this could be pressed and maybe I'll get a 7.0 out of it. So I sold, long story short, too late, I sold the 7.0, which I shouldn't have. But everything worked out because then, few months ago, I sold off the 6.0 and I funded the 7.5. And that was it. I said I always wanted to get maybe at least a 7. I would have liked to upgrade that 6 because I didn't like it being at the 6.0. I thought that maybe, for a Bronze Age book, big Bronze Age book, it should be a little higher. And Wolverine is one of my favorite characters, and he should be higher than a 6.0. For me, that worked for me. Maybe it doesn't work for all of you. And to get a 7.5 was, great. Great. So those are the top upgrades. Like I said, there were a few that I didn't include on this list, but those are the top upgrades I got for 2022. Moving into 2023, I'm looking forward to getting a few more upgrades. Actually, I have 2 more on the way to show Spider-Man books. Nothing crazy big, but something that's recognizable, I think. And of course, all the other books that I'm looking forward to upgrading, including X-Men #1. Hopefully we get that done. Done this year. But we'll see what happens. You never know. You just never can tell. But thank you for watching, everybody, and stay tuned. More videos to come. Take care.